matriarching this country. Are you saying something against America?
Against it? I should be positively astounded to hear of anything that be said for it. Why, the whole bloody place is the most unspeakable matriarchy in the whole history of civilization. Look at yourself and the way your wife and her strumpet of a mother push you through the hoop.
I remember when I lost my mind. There's something so special about that place. Your emotions have an echo and so much space. All right. Abruptly end. All right, here's the big shite sandwich, people. Ready to take a bite? Oh, I do not make it sound pretty at all, do I? I don't have to. All right. So this again. They are trying to merge skulls and peoples. They're trying to breed out Shem. They're trying to genetically remove Shem. That's why they are bioharvesting labs in the US, Chinese run, and there are confessions and testimonies from people who worked with Planned Parenthood and other places that said they would deliver these remains to privately owned Chinese facilities. China has the highest abortion rate, if I'm not mistaken. So the number is in the hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions genetic material, money being paid under the table for it. People who expose it go to prison. All right. So what am I doing? I'm going to prove this stuff right now. Let me just do an overview really quick. Let me pull up the... I don't know what to call this anymore because the chat, literally, chat is sin. It's to miss the mark. So I don't know. I'll call it the communication wall like I do on Telegram. So I'm not going to call it the chat anymore. I'll try to call it communication scroll. Who's scrolling? Let me check the scroll. Maybe I'll just call it the scroll. So Moses, Danites, the Danes. I showed you the flags on previous episodes. Look up the Vikings. Dan did to the city of, I think it was called Laish. He did exactly what the Vikings do. By his own ancestors, he was prophesied to be a serpent in the path that strikes the horse at its heels. It will bruise the heel, but you will bruise its head. So its rider falls backwards. Usually a fall like that breaks the neck. It's to its attack at the crown, but it's from the first dimension. Do you understand? It's the first dimension attacking the fifth. Through your horse, car, whatever. How do they stop a car? With spike strips. That's the spirit of Dan, people. Pharaoh, Rome, Caftor, Cretans, Europe. They claim most Europeans have various percentages of the genes of Tutankhamun. You can look this up. I'm going to tell you what Jurassic Park is. I'm going to tell you what they're telling you in Jurassic World, why it's called Jurassic World Dominion, Fallen Kingdom. I forgot what the other one's called. There's Jurassic World, then there's Jurassic World Dominion, and then I think there's Fallen Kingdom. And they literally have this big dome being crashed and all these. I can't. It's everywhere. So there's no excuse. The axe is laid at the root of the tree 2,000 years ago. Therefore, any branch, no matter its excuse of how hard the wind blew or whatever it is, if it does not produce good fruit, it is chopped off, no longer part of the root, and is to be burned. So St. Judas. It's literally Judas. And the other one is Shriners. They wear the Shriners cap. They absorb Islamic, Judaic, and Messianic modes of function. And so that's why they have the salam on their fezzes, because they're absorbers. They take the Jesuit oath to be whoever the Pope wants, wherever. If they are to be Muslim, they are to be Muslim. If they are to be Christian, they are to be Christian. If they are to be Orthodox Jew, they are to be Orthodox Jew. If they are to be Hindu, they are to be Hindu. They are to be Republican, they are to be Republican. If they are to be an outsider, they are to be an outsider. If they are to be a usurper, an insurrectionist, an assassin, whatever race, creed, religion, they will be it for the work and orders of the Pope, who, a couple hundred years ago, told the world that he owned it. That's when Japan allegedly first heard of this guy. The Jesuits came to Japan and said, yeah, there's a papal bull, it's been written. The Pope owns the entire world, so they own Japan. It's like, what? What? Japan? Japeth? It's not a coincidence. It's like, oh, it's Nippon, though. It's like, why do they call it Japan? It's because they know something. Pane. Yeah? Pane? Ta is literally like the face and mark of God. Or his face and mark. It could be ambiguous. They're literally marked by their face, their sharp eyes. That's Japheth. Why does he get those eyes? Because he's always suspicious. It's us versus them. He's suspicious. I don't trust you. Do you understand? He's always squinting. He's always trying to figure out there's something hidden somewhere, isn't there? He's paranoid. He's always looking out to the ocean. Someone's going to come from that ocean one day. So they literally spend their life waiting for the enemy to come from the ocean, sunrise or sunset. They're constantly squinting because they're looking at the sunrise and sunset. There's an enemy out there somewhere. He's going to take everything I have. That's Japheth. Shem is like, nobody's my enemy. Everybody's my brother. Let's do some international trade. So Shriners are overseers of the pharaonic and Mosaic mixture. That is why these people who have scoliosis, there's other ways to treat it. They do multiple surgeries and shove iron rods in there and stuff. Iron doesn't mix with clay. Why do these people think that it's required to mix these people more with iron when they're having this reaction in their body? Oh, you have iron deficiency. Don't eat red meat. Take iron pills. There's heavy metals in many pharmaceuticals. And then, of course, there is proteins derived from blood that they use in certain things. So St. Jude was started by an actor, a literal actor. That's why it's Judas. It's not Jude, it's Judas. Shriners, they're started by the Freemasons. Freemasons marry into their own. Freemasons are eugenicists. So Shriners are eugenicists. So the mixture of these, the Danes, Fair, Rome, Europa, becomes the EU. The House of Saud, USA, Roche, Shin, Sindhu. They all mix these. They're all trying to mix it out. The Asiatic is the least Semitic. They literally chase them up into the mountains, and then even those ones have their problems. They, interestingly enough, call their teachers lamas. The Dalai Lama, that's Lamed, that's Semitic. It's like, so they chased those genetics up into the Himalayas, but then they made those people pharaonic to control them. It's all a system of control. That's why it usually affects bones and spines and metabolisms, because two different energies. What Moses genetically magnetizes to, for lack of a better word, and what Pharaoh genetically magnetizes to. You have those two creating a vortex. Remember the two Lameds opposing create the vortex. That tries to twist your spine. It tries to twist your insides. It tries to twist your bones. It's the fight of the flesh increased because they're mixing with marriages. And scripturally, both anybody who adheres to the Old Testament, the New Testament, or both, it says in Daniel that they will try to mix in marriages. Saul used his own daughter to try to trip up David. There is documented proof that people breed women as... This was said... I was sent one of these people. I'll tell you, I'll prove it, because it even goes with their story of Jael and Sisera. Sisera's mother, when she was wondering why he wasn't coming back, and her servant girl said, "You answer your own question. Why isn't he coming back? Because he lost." She talks about the women as a womb or two for every male. She doesn't use the word for woman. She calls them wombs. This woman saw other women as just wombs. They'll see their own daughters as just wombs, because they're trying to birth something, and they're occultic. It's their religion. They make a religion around it. That's why I talk about the Mormons. And I'll tell you, because Alex Jones went through this. I'll tell you exactly why Alex Jones went through it and why he came out Pharaoh. Because he's the same genetics as Brigham Young. I'll prove it. I'm going to show you a picture of Brigham Young, and you tell me if that does not look like the current elderly going into his older years. He has a beard. It's getting white and gray. It's showing the Freemasonic phenotype. Okay, so let me pull this up here. Brigham Young. About to show you Brigham Young. Boom. Oops. Wrong screen. Let me turn this off. Boom. There we go. Gee. Brigham Young looks very, very familiar to me. Very, very familiar. Alex Jones comes from a CIA, and doctor surgery, professor type family. He was as a child, meetings of the John Birch Society. Go look at the John Birch Society, and it'll tell you exactly why this man looks a lot like Alex Jones. because Alex Jones is a product of eugenics. He goes through physical things too. That's why he has all those supplements. They're for himself. He just sells them for money, but they're for himself. For what he deals with. He wants to try to keep people from feeling the fighting between the pharaonic blood and the Mosaic blood. You can't make this up. Alex Jones is related to this man, whether people believe me or not. It's the phenotype. You understand? Remember when I would joke and said I look like Hitler? Yeah, it's a phenotype. It's mixing Germanic, Mosaic with Pharaonic. And you get this. Go look up a picture of Hitler. Look at his nose. Look at his head shape. It's more Pharaonic than me, but I come from the same Germanic. Specifically an older Germanic where you get Old English from. Frisians. It's where you get the Amish from. That's why they speak Old English. Because I'm real Germanic. There's more real Germans in America than in Germany because they genocided them in Germany. So here is Brigham Young again. And I'll tell you this real quick while you look at this man. The calf, the golden calf. Caftor, the dove of the calf. Cop, the dove of the cop. Noah sent out a dove. Do you understand why they're called Caftor? I already told you. The pyramids of Egypt most likely harnessed an energy where they can have a faint blinking light, just like the top of any of these towers we got, and a faint shortwave signal to Caftor, because Caftor is watching Anatolia. They probably believe that Noah's still alive. Who knows? Or that maybe his ghost walks around. You got to understand that they were so terrified of Noah that Caftor and Giza were even created as like a response. To these people, Noah was Godzilla. I'm not kidding. Godzilla. Noah was Godzilla to these people. They had Caftor as the cop's dove in response to Noah's, the dove of peace. You have the dove of the cop. You have the dove of the calf. Caftor, the golden calf. Captor, your captor. Who is your captor? Your calves are what you have to exercise to pursue and to lift and to exert force from your legs. Strength is in your calf, your cop. Catholic, Orthodox, and Coptic. They're just the pantheons that they're trying to merge. Catholic is the Roman pantheon, and all these three pantheons are the same. Orthodox Greek is the Greek pantheon. Coptic is the Egyptian pantheon. And they try to mix these eugenics like Jurassic Park. There's so many themes that are put out there in books, movies, in history itself that proves this. They did this with ghettos. They put people who call themselves Jews and real Hebrews in ghettos and kept them separate from people. But then there is also attempts to merge these bloodlines. There were attempts to keep them separate, and then there's attempts to merge them. They will mix, they will attempt to mix in marriage, but they will not mix, for iron and clay don't mix. The Pharisees and Sadducees, the Pharaoh sees. You have the Catholic see. The Sadducees, the hunters. You understand? The Pharisees and the Sadducees just turned into the Orthodox or Byzantine, and Catholic, or Constantine. It's Byzantine, Constantine. Pharisees, Sadducees. You understand? Istanbul to Constantinople, Istanbul to Constantinople, Istanbul to Constantinople. You understand? Istanbul, Constantinople. Jakinth, Boaz. Boaz just means strength. That's just Pharaoh. Peace through strength, says Pharaoh. Says a project for a new American century. Says Trump. Says John Birch Society members. Brigham Young probably said that before. Peace through strength. Boaz. But what are they trying to get? Kinth. It's Yah establishes. He establishes only Moses, Joseph, Messiah, David, not Pharaoh. This began with Solomon, because he thought if he marries Pharaoh's wife, or Pharaoh's daughter, if he marries Pharaoh's daughter, that they won't bother him and there'll be peace. He absorbed all of these different women's pagan spirits. That's why he eventually turned into what he did, because it says in the Torah, you're not to marry with these people, not because of their skin, not because anything physically genetic, but because of the way they worship their idols. And so these women, he didn't listen. He thought, maybe I can change the world by putting good seed into all these women. Nope. They corrupted him. You see how it works? Like, you can't do it physically. Solomon probably thought that Solomon is probably where you get Tikkun Olam from. He probably thought, if I just impregnate all the princesses of the world, then it will create a purer people. It's like, no, that's physical. And you see it ended up corrupting him instead. So it's like, even the great Solomon, that's what they're trying to tell you. So Solomon is Horus and Pharaoh is Set. Notice how you don't really get a lot of words related to Horus. Except maybe some wisdom stuff, like things pertaining to the future, horoscope. Maybe horticulture. Good things, right? That's Moses. That's Solomon. Pharaoh is Set. We have Set, Saturn, Satcom, satellites, Saturday morning cartoons with Skara, Toa, Ayan. It's the testimony. It's the special agent that through repetition gets you to wander away from the testimony. That's literally what Saturday, that's literally what cartoons mean. And whose cartoons are they? Saturday. They're from Pharaoh. And he's defiling the Sabbath by playing nonsense. Literally, Kara, Toa, Ain is a special agent, Karar, Corral, Car, Corona. I've been trying to tell you this. Kara, special agent designed to what? Toa, Ain. To make you wander from the testimony, or give you a testimony of wandering. What is testimony? Eyes and fountain. What is a TV? For your eyes, fountain. The heart is a fountain. It spews all kinds of evil. There is nothing good within. You have to get good from without, from outside. So Sadducees can also be Sud and Cush, the hunters with a dark countenance. Have you seen a lot of Orthodox people? The high up ones? The hunters with a dark countenance. The darkened counsel. That's what the Sadducees were. And they relied on the authority of the priest over the prophetic books. The Pharisees, the Catholic, added all kinds of extra stuff. It added Egyptian and Greek theology. That's what the Catholic Church does. That's what the Pharisees did. And then they distract you with the study. Paul was like me. And what they did was they distracted him with so much study, he didn't even see Messiah. Someone probably told him, like, oh yeah, there's this guy, he's raising the dead and healing people. And Paul was probably like, look at these words, look at the code in these words, look at Adam's language. This is going to raise the dead. I don't want to hear about this guy. Let me study. And then what happened? Then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, you remember that guy we told you about? It's like, yeah. No, yeah, his followers claim that he made a new covenant, and any of like the Israelites who don't believe in it aren't part of the covenant anymore. And they're doing miracles in this guy's name. I was like, what are you talking about? And then so he had his whole journey. But that's what they do. They distract them. Most of the time with math. I always hated math though. So Kaftor, Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick, yeah. It's where all the kneeling to the flag. What do you kneel to? What did I just show you? To the most worshipful master. You kneel while you're being inducted into Freemasonry. They all had them kneel to the flag. Their flag is their most worshipful master. It's the mark of Dan. It's Danmark. Donald means the old Dan. It is prophesied Yehovah will break the chiefs over the wide earth. Donald means the chief over the wide earth. He's the cop. He's the Kaftor. He's the Kaepernick. So, cop and Nick, Kapper, and Nick is to conquer. Capernahum, the cop over Nahum, read Nahum, the book of Nahum. Messiah said, O Capernaum, would you be raised to heaven? No, you'll be brought down to Sheol. For if the works done in you were done in Sodom and Gomorrah and in Tyre, they would still be there. Kaplan, Kaplano, Kaplanos. Depending on where it is, Kaplan has to do with capturing and releasing. These people can be intelligence agents, all kinds of people. You're not cursed if you have a last name. Because remember, Kefa is also the cop. That's how you get Kiefer Sutherland as Jack Bauer. Jockton Bauer. Can't make this up. Campanella. Jesuit name. Campanella. It's the cop again. It's Kaftor, but with an M inside the cop. What do you do when you camp? You're inside a tent. What does the tent do? It circles around you and arches over. That's what cop means. So camp is literally being inside of the function of what the word cop means. Camp means to be inside of a tent, and the tent is the cop. You are the ma. You are the what inside of the cop. That's where you get the word camp. So Campanella is just the same. Kaftor. Campos. Copernicus. Copernicus was literally the cop that the cop that conquers. Kaftor, they were the Cretans. They sailed the whole world. They know what the shape of it is to an extent. And they know what realizing that is. It's an expansion of your mind. If you understand what the creation is, then literally your being is expanding into it. It makes you more powerful. So they want you to think you're a spinning, disorienting globe shooting around. Literally, your spirituality is just put in one of those merry-go-rounds if you think your world is that. That's why I know these people probably still secretly believe in the globe. Because they act, their spirit is mimics the solar system that these Kabbalists created. Mine doesn't. You understand? Real cosmology means real order of things. I don't have to play games. I don't have to play games with people and go on their show and then somehow I'm connected to them. So if they just treat me like trash, I have to keep going on their show? No. I don't have to be beholden to them. All right. So let me get into these symptoms. So here you go. Alex Jones lookalike. John's Birch Society. Look all these things up, please, for your own good. Let's see. Brigham Young, born June 1st, 1801. Lived 76. 76 is 13. Okay, let's see. Polygamist, because he's trying to spread his seed. Do you understand why they're polygamists? Why they ban polygamy, but they still secretly do it, and you can't. Not that you should. I'm saying the reason that they ban it for others, but not for themselves, is because they'll make cults. So his mother died of tuberculosis because these people have problems because it's pharaonic and Mosaic mixing. That's why Alex Jones sells all those things. Angeline Works. Miriam Angeline Works. That's who he married. His family moved briefly to Oswego, New York. I wonder if any pharaonic mosaics phenotypes come out of there and start their own religions. Okay, this is getting interesting, people. Look up, what is it? Sabato Levy? Was it? He looks very familiar. But anyway, this is just all what I'm talking about here. I'm just going in here. See, let's see, to preach, a key element of the teaching of this group, Young's eyes, was to practice the spiritual gift of speaking in tongues. And see, that's a ploy for these people. You can actually, by the Spirit, get ancient roots and express your ancient root language. And then an interpreter who spiritually can interpret it, or they're like me and they hear all these roots, might be able to hear what your access. Through the Holy Spirit, you can access the ancient language without knowing it, and then somebody can interpret it for you. It's a fail-safe. You understand? I'm giving you something so that now you don't need the fail-safe. Unless you lose it all or forget it or something, but it's like, that's the fail-safe, is that speaking in tongues is supposed to be the fail-safe to that. You're supposed to be able to access the ancient language without knowing it through the Holy Spirit. That's what they can't be. And then these people will see the words everywhere like I'm seeing them. And I've seen these things before I came to it. And there's proof all over the place. People I know, I have witnesses where it's like 80% of this I was already saying, this is just backing it up. And then prophecy. That's why Tucker Carlson, remember, Tucker Carlson is part of these John Birch Society types, these New American Century types. And he's claiming Alex Jones prophetically saw things. Do you understand? These people are related to these bloodlines. They think they're prophesying. Heber C. Kimball, it's funny, the former owner of where I currently living, his name was Kimball, to visit the branch of the church in Columbia. That's their goddess of witchcraft and spellcasting. Let's see. During the visit, Brigham spoke in a tongue that Smith identified as the Adamic language. I'm gonna feel. I have a feeling that either they're claiming that so that they can lie about it, or they're telling the truth. They're Kabbalists. They have the Adamic language. Do you understand? Do you understand why they have the ambition to have the money to buy the lands, to control the lands, to fund armies to take lands. Give us you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor, you're wretched, the worst of you. What would be the worst? Oh, Joktan. You get a lot of Joktan, and you get a lot of me. People who they've corralled and tried to control their marriages through the Church of England. I mean, this is nobody can call me a conspiracy theorist or say that I'm making stuff up. This is engraved in stone in history. You cannot refute it. Okay, so Rhode Island, Zion's camp. They all claim to be Zion, don't they? But they're a community center of Satan, aren't they? See, and then they have the new 12 apostles. Remember, Messiah and the 12 apostles were the original seed. Any seed that comes after is sown by an enemy. That's why they call it seminary. Can't make this up. Oh no, you're just seeing the evil and everything. They'll do anything. It's so pathetic. They'll try anything. They'll do anything to be invisible. They'll do anything to be a gnome, an invisible troll. You understand? They do anything to be invisible. Invisibility cloak. It's their dream. One of their biggest dreams is that invisibility cloak. What happens when you put the ring on in Lord of the Rings? Oh, you turn invisible. Sort of. You turn invisible to everybody except e pluribus unum. Yeah, I also started a long-time mission in the United Kingdom. I get some of my viewers there. Japan, United Kingdom, and then by city. Oh, I figured out the spike. Remember when I said the highest cities watching? It was Moscow, Russia, St. Petersburg, Russia, Kiev, Ukraine, Aurora, Colorado, Belarus, Minsk, Belarus, Sasay, Texas, so on. I figured out when the spike came. So when I made the video, Ghost in the Machine, and I'll quickly just, oh, I don't have that actually. Oops. But what I went over in that episode is all the stuff, the Ghost of the Machine, the possible spirit working in these machines. The weird interdimensional stuff that Alex Jones talked about. Basically, all this stuff. And that's when the spike came from Aurora, Colorado. And then the next one, when I did, I think it said April 10th. So I think that was the 2022. I think that was the Iwaranon one. That's where you got one of the UK viewers got mad at me and that tried to claim, oh no, ancient civilizations, they melted all these civilizations and they turned into mountains. It's like, look, he was trying to describe that the fifth dimension as the third dimension, and how he viewed the world. They're so backwards, and these are intelligence agents that are there to just try to fill you with false information. Remember they had seeing stones and all this stuff. There's so much Kabbalism in this. But since I showed that, I need to show this actually. Pan Am. May the happy Hunger Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor. You understand? It's all gambling to them. The Pharaonic is this wildly dressed weird people, and they give tribute. And the tribute blends in with the Pharaonic bloodline. You can't make this up, and it's the Hunger Games. So, oops, look at here. So this is a map of Pan Am. Now, the various maps you can find online, almost all of them have a capital in the same area. The Great Basin. Interesting how these people... This is probably what the capital actually looks like. This looks like a Mormon temple. Do I need to prove it? I guess I do. List of temples. Oh, dear Lord, look at that. What's this one? Oh, that's JD Vance. Where is the Salt Lake one? Because you guys see this Salt Lake one. Oh, look at this. Chihuahua, Durango, Hidalgo, Jalisco, 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 Jalisco. Mexico City, Morelos, Nuevo León, Oaxaca, Puebla. Okay, go look up the Salt Lake freaking thing. I can't do it. I'm not gonna do it right now. Stephen A. Douglas, Pioneer Day. Okay, so they basically founded the Great Basin. They settled in the Great Basin. That's the capital in Pan Am. You can't make this up. So interesting how District 12 is up here in where the real capital is in America. Isn't that something? They're the miners, millennials. District 13 is all this chemical stuff up here. District 13, District 11 seems to be where I'm at right now. District 10 is just the cattle. District 8 is the oil. It's Texas. District 6 is the trains. Look at this. I mean, it's an interesting temple up there in District 1. It's like right in Sandpoint, Idaho. So anyway, just do you understand why these communities show up on the internet? They make a cult out of them and they start eugenics. Do you understand? Jurassic Park. I'll name it. I don't even care. Jurassic Park is Mormonism. It is Beartaria. It is MAGA Taria. It is the breakaway societies. It is the ghettos of Europe. It's Pan Am. Do you understand? Do you understand? So I'm going to show you something else here. What happens when you mix the pharaohs and the Moseses? This is going to freak you guys out. It's really going to freak you guys out. Club thumb. So there's a thumb where sometimes people have one that's different from the other. It's weird that I don't actually have it, but my left thumb, the nail is slightly wider than the right thumb. But people who express it more, like there's people in my family that express more scoliosis than I do. I just have a very, very slight curve at the bottom, and it feels like it's always been getting better. But that's all I really had, and then I had a slight, like a slight forward head posture. But that was years and years ago, so it's different now, obviously. So I want to tell you where this comes from. So have you ever seen this? It's rare. And remember that I told you about the kings, Adonai Bezek? When the Israelites captured Adonai Bezek, they felt compelled to cut off his big toes and his thumbs. And he exclaimed, 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off used to collect scraps under my table, as I have done. So the Most High has done to me. Where did these 70 kings go? Well, Egypt sure had its hands in the Americas, right? So if these 70 kings escape, they might just go to the Americas because Canaan knew about America. That's why you have the Incans. That's Incana. It's the people of Canaan. It's the Ayan of Canaan. It's the testimony of Canaan. Is Incan. Aztec, Mayan. I know people with these thumbs. There's some information I can say, some I can't. A woman was literally sent to me with a thumb like this because I'll tell you right now. Hereditary trait. A 1965 scientific study in Israel. Gee, why are they so interested, these Soviets, found that 3% of Israeli Arabs had 1 or 2 short thumbs, compared with 1.57 among Ashkenazi, as well as non-Ashkenazi Jews. So, this woman that just suddenly appeared in my life, she was in AP Psychology, AP History, all the AP classes. She was already being groomed for college, Long Beach City College or something like that. She was going to be a political analyst, like writing political journalism. And she had this thumb. She was learning Arabic. She claimed she was going to convert the Muslims, which she obviously understands nothing about Islam if she thinks a woman is going to convert Muslims. That's not, you'd have to have a man do it. That's how their culture works. So obviously she was going to be groomed to be a spy. Her aunt owned her own security firm and worked security for the White House when Trump was president. And even though that makes a lot of money, this person was working at a grocery store about a block or two from my house when I was in California, while I was corresponding with this girl. She was a bagger. She was making minimum wage when she literally can work security for the White House and make like 200,000, 300,000 a year. She probably makes like 400,000, 300,000 a year, owning her own security. Why is she working at the grocery store down the street from my house? Another girl that I was almost involved with, her uncle was in the CIA, and her parents literally wanted me to impregnate her. I went to visit her because I hadn't seen her in a long time, and she was like 19 and I was 20 something. And her parents were there. Her mom literally made me food, and then they both left me alone with their daughter. She was always awkward, like she didn't know how to do anything or speak. It's like, be impregnated by this person to fulfill your purpose. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. People can call me crazy. 5 of the different women I had to choose from the cult church that I escaped from, just like my mom's great aunt escaped from a jock tonight eugenics program that called itself Amish and did forced abortions and incest and all this disgusting, horrible eugenics programs. And my mom's great aunt fled with 5 children. I think they were either all hers, or I don't need all the information, but and she provided for them in the 40s. She was a woman who provided for them in the 40s and escaped. That's some Moses energy right there. And so my mom's named after this woman. For some reason, that had to manifest, you see? The pharaonic and the parents were like, this is just like that one. And then it's like with me, it just passes on again. Oh, this one is... It's the same thing. They don't want to be in the paddock. Who was the Route 91 Harvest? Patsy. Stephen Paddock. The paddock for the crown. What is Latin crown? What is cara ana? I don't know how many parts I'm going to have to make. This is insane. It's too much. So this woman, who is obviously is Israeli Arab for her skin tone, but she was an Asiatic Israeli Arab. She actually got her, you get an inheritance when you turn 18. You can become like an automatic citizen of Israel or something like that. Or she got a 1-year scholarship to Haifa, Israel, and she disappeared off the map. 2017, there's no more. Because I was wondering, I'm like, where did this shit go? Where'd she go? So I looked her up. Her trail ends 2017. No more articles. She's starting to become a political journalist. Shouldn't there be more articles attributed to her after 2017? Nothing after 2017. That's when she went to Israel. She's either not on this earth anymore, or she's working as an interpreter and a spy. because she can just be this Arab, Asiatic looking woman with a hijab on, walking around, and they think nothing of her. She hears all their plans. She can even pretend to be Muslim. Go over there. She could pretend to be anything. She could pretend to be a friend. Her name was JL, which is the woman who took this man into the tent and said, "Do not fear. Come take a nap. Don't worry." And she drove a tent peg through his head. She gave him some raw milk to help him sleep. She put a heavy rug over him to make him go into deep sleep. And she took the hammer and the sickle. Understand? This was under literally the president of Barack Obama when all this happened. Who was the commander of the armies of Israel? Barak. Who made him go out to war? Deborah, that means bee, or the word of God. Very interesting here. Her middle name, Sierra, I'll say your full name, means to bind up. To bind up, to distract. It's to tie a rope to bind, but it ends in either a knot or a noose. A lasso or a noose, sorry. This woman tried to psychoanalyze me and tell me what I was. Oh, you must be a Quaker then because of what you believe. Do you understand? She's a eugenicist. I identify you because I'm an AP psychologist. I'm an AP history major. I'm an AP this, AP that. I want to label you Quaker because I'm a eugenicist. They literally do the same. They come from the East Coast. They go to Seattle, all of them. Then they come down to California, and then they move to Texas. All of them. It's the same pattern. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but if you have, you're part of 3 to 4% of the population of these people. You understand? They're mixing them with Pharaoh. People with this thumb are all across the Washington, Oregon, California coast. You understand? They will have physical conditions. I'll get into some of those. Let's see, which one's this one? I'll go over scoliosis, but I won't show this because it might show pictures that just aren't nice to look at. So let's see. It's believed to be a combination of genetic and environmental factors. See, because it's the two things battling. That's why all the false church has that kundalini thing, the snake wrapping around your spine, because they're trying to control things physically with genetics, and they're trying to do Kabbalistic magic. And you'll get like stuff like muscle spasms, cerebral palsy, this Marfan syndrome, neurofibromatosis, stuff that has to do with your connective tissue for your spine, neck, certain neuro functions, neurological conditions. Yeah. Scoliosis occurs in about 3% of people. It's going to be the same percentage. Do you understand? All these things are the same percentage. The same percentage as what expresses the thumb, the same thing that expresses the spine. Let me do this one. Which one? Marfan syndrome, because I've had to deal with a lot of this stuff. Those with the condition tend to be tall and thin with long arms, legs, fingers, and toes. I have a relative that expresses all of that, and they have an S-shaped spine. It's the genetic. It's because of these eugenicists making religions or factions or, homesteader utopias where they're literally eugenicizing you. They're taking these pharaonic mosaic mixes, they're bringing them into the desired paddock, and they're causing them to fall in love with each other by association. They talk about this in Shrek. It's the same thing in Shrek with the love potions and everything. Oh, she was supposed to marry Prince Charming. But that's true because remember, Shrek is actually an inversion. Because I'm saying all this stuff, and remember, I keep saying it's like nobody wants to hear it. Who wants to hear it? The evil people. Shrek. So Shrek gets the girl. Do you understand? Prince Charming's supposed to get the girl. But they invert it to where Shrek is supposed to actually be the true guy, but physically you can't see it. Prince Charming is supposed to be the Antichrist guy. Physically you can see it, but he doesn't have it spiritually. So there's a pharaonic and a mosaic narrative battling in the very movie because of the people who made the movie. And they might not even intend this. It's just coming out of them. Exceptionally flexible joints. I had that when I was little. Abnormally curved spines involve complications of the heart and aorta. That's the big giant. I think that's the big giant vein somewhere in your stomach or whatever. Yeah, a lot of weird stomach spasm stuff, heart palpitations, aortic aneurysm. I have different muscle stuff like that. It's just tests. They want to scare you and make you think you need all these drugs. That's the whole point. They want to get people like me and other people. I was part of a church. My childhood church had these children in it. These experiment freaking children in it. 2 of them joined the freaking military. 3 of them. Like 10 of them. A bunch of them joined the military. One family alone lost 3 children in very, very, very suspicious ways. It's not far-fetched that if I have family members that came from a eugenics jock-to-night camp with what I described, I don't want to have to repeat it over and over. These people care a lot about their genetics. They don't like to let them escape. It's the whole Jurassic Park thing. Oh, these dinosaurs, they started escaping to these islands. And then they created their own island. You see how it's like they try to affect it and then it comes out naturally, but they can't control that part. Life finds a way. You know what that is? That's me. Life finds a way. I can be horribly isolated. And see, this is why I try to explain to people. People don't even realize that they are conditioned to not even know what true isolationism is. They're in isolation and they don't even realize it. They think they're not because the TV is a bunch of people talking to them and giving them their social sugar cubes. They don't understand they're horribly, hopelessly alone because they've caused a television to be their social stimuli. They don't know that they're in the middle of nowhere alone. They've made themselves, they've bound themselves. They put themselves in prison. I had to do a part 3. Let's see. And then you have certain this Marfan syndrome. Some of them can get indented chests. Yeah, if you ever seen bold chest people, it's pretty crazy looking. I had one at the high school I went to. The high school I went to, James Hetfield went to the same high school, Downey High School. And one of the people from that cult church I was at was one of the administrators. It's pretty interesting. There was a girl there who was a cheerleader. And she had a curvature in her spine. She looked like one of those really pretty light-skinned Sephardic women with the black hair, the blue eyes. I didn't get a look at her thumbs. She reminded me kind of of Megan Fox. Megan Fox has club thumb. They really mess with that girl, don't they? Her current boyfriend is a pharaoh. You understand? Does anybody understand? Let's go take ayahuasca together, baby. You understand? You understand? Paris Hilton. Look at Paris Hilton's phenotype. Look at Britney Spears. Look at Katy Perry. I have a family member that looks like Katy Perry in her Egyptian videos with the black hair. And the pictures of John Benet Ramsey when she's a child also look like that family member, which coincidentally looks like Katy Perry as a child. Do you understand that the pictures of the kidnappers, Madeline, what was that? Madeline something? Madeline McCain. Or something. I think that's what it is. That little girl got kidnapped. The artist rendering of the perpetrators look exactly like the Podesta brothers. And they're still saying that, it's a cold case, we're still trying to solve it. It's like, dude, the profile looks like the two Podesta brothers. Exactly. What's going on? You understand? They even try to steal people. Raptor. What is Raptor? One who steals a baby in the night. You don't know what happened. Women don't even understand what this system has done to them. And it's weird. You can tell them what this system has done to them, and it's like it doesn't. The people have been so robbed and animalized by karar, television watching. But it's specifically karar. That's even why I'm doing this, because they try to exercise power and isolate people so that they get desperate and then they watch the stimuli. They need social stimuli. I gotta do this so I don't watch movies. And then even when I watch movies, it's like, wow, eyes have been so open to it that it's like every movie is just like, wow, it's the same story. I can't even see the evil in things anymore. So the Marfan syndrome is above average height, disproportionately long, slender limbs, long fingers and toes. I have a relative like that. Stooped shoulders, unexplained stretch marks on the skin. That was the one that tripped me out, because I had said that on like a private call or something a long time ago, where I'm like, I just need some prayer, because I'm like, I got these like weird stretch marks. I thought maybe it was because I was really skinny for a long time, and then I gained a lot of weight. But it's like, for how much it wouldn't actually stretch the skin though. It's like unexplained stretch marks. I'm like, oh, that's very, very interesting. Flat feet. What's interesting is I had when I was homeschooled, because that's more isolation. Homeschooled, one of the teachers, his name was Mr. Davies. It's David, mixing pharaonic. He had flat feet. Yeah. Even my homeschool teachers. I had a Mr. Dunn, Mr. Dan. So let me Mr. Dan. There was a Dan at the old church. His last name was literally Warlock. These are Danites. They are hunters. Hammer toes. I have to deal with that. Developing. Gotta make sure I do stuff to help against that. Um, joint bones, muscle pains, speech disorders. Speech disorders. Remember I told you the shu. Sometimes if I say a sh next to an s sound, yeah, I get like sha. um, I mean, you guys, if anybody watches my videos, you've seen me do these things. Osteoarthritis may occur. Yeah, that's something those other family members who have the long limbs and the tall, slender, and the S-shaped spine, they also have that. Abnormally deep hip sockets. I think I do have that, but I'm not going to show them to you unless you want to see them. Anyway, that's just a joke though. Seriously, like showing your thighs biblically is showing your nakedness. And And it's interesting that that's what they claimed the angel touched and dislocated his hip joint, but it's actually he tapped him on his button. He cup checked him. They don't want you to know that because they don't want you to know what's actually in scripture. So he didn't touch his thigh. He literally cup checked him to see what he was made of. He's like, okay, he can wrestle with me, but what is his real power? So he cup checked him, and he's like, oh, and he still wouldn't let him go. He's like, and he goes, let me go. He goes, just cup checked you, and he goes, I won't let you go till you bless me. He's like, yeah, that's what I want to see. Let's go. You're Israel now. You ain't even Jacob. You're Shemiramoth now. You wrestle. I cup checked you, and you still didn't let go. That is some determination. You are now Israel. Nearsightedness, blurred vision. I have to deal with that stuff. Subluxation, lens problems. My family deals with that stuff. Literally an eye kind of wandering. One of the eyes wandering. I have a family. I got that in my family. Fatigue, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, racing heartbeats, chest pain, emanating chest pain. That's Homer Simpson because he's the same thing. An abnormal reading on an EKG. I had to wear the whole thing when I was little, the whole heart monitoring thing. They also can get these things. I read it. I forgot where I read it, but it's benign tumors all over the body. So it just it keeps trying to slow down your flesh. Like if you watch the Credibles movie, when he was trying to escape that thing and they was shooting those black balls of stuff at him, and it was slowing him down until it captured him. That's basically what these things are. And Alex Jones's grandma had that. He said head to toe benign tumors, and she lived till she was 90 in incredible pain. It's yeah, she's fighting pharaonic bloodline. Who knows? He didn't talk too much about his grandma. I bet you Alex Jones's grandma was some really hard lady that said some stuff, and they just kept her in a corner. Okay, you stay over there, grandma. All right, so I'm going to end this one right here, and I'm going to go into some more stuff. Neurofibromatosis. My neighbor had that benign skin things all over his back because he was a Catholic phenotype. He was Protestant, married, Presbyterian, married into a Catholic, but he had Catholic phenotype. That's why he did it. He already had the Catholic phenotype. He's a Pharaoh Moses mixture. He's the typical boomer, but he just didn't become a Freemason. He had a lot of his coworkers were Freemasons, and he just thought they were a nice group of people that he just didn't want to deal with all that. You know what I mean? You don't want to join it because you have to put a lot into it. So he probably had people he knew that were Freemasons. He's like, I thought these were nice people. He talked to me about that. We had some interesting conversations. Old man Jim. Come on, Jim. Let him in. It's Jim McCoy. Literally the real McCoys. The Hatfields and the McCoys. Hot. Hot shoe. What's the oh, that's Bashtet. It's the cat. Anyway, I'm rambling. So I'm gonna end right here and start another one. I don't know. I'll figure it out because I might eat something. I don't know. This is wild. This is wild. Let's put this back on here. Ooh, excuse me. You heard that? That was me belching. All right. Let me put this music back on. I like this one. Straight to the business. Let's go. Oops. Straight to the business. Come on, give me the business. Let's go.
Yo, I'm a businessman. straight to the business. Nah, I ain't gonna miss this, cause you lot taking the biscuit. So stay on the fringes, pray for the win. You fakers are making me cringe. Yeah, should've stayed in the basement. You got no place to skate on the pavement. Your head's vacant, complacent. Too green, no beef, no bacon. Complaining, we're all savages. No shit, Sherlock, can't handle this. Can't prepared, I don't mean sandwiches. Sack of shit, come with a bag of bandages. I'm unstable, bring reinforcements. Cut the cake, give me the big portion. Of course it's just rawness, grassroots, no big endorsements. So I'm chalking, one up to Ollie. Tits in a trolley, balls in a biscuit tin. Ain't no fool with a bling, I'm cool with a ting. Who's that? I'm a roof rag. Should I shoot back or blast and boom back? Cute rappers, you're better off to move back. True that, mate, don't do that. And I'm getting too fat, but yo, where the food at? Brat, gunshot in the air like you don't care about wasting rounds. Why's your face in a frown? I ain't targeting no one, I'm just making the rounds. Making the most of it while you're posting links to bogus shit. My frozen fingertips are still picking bricks up and laying them in those conditions.